Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time. It is Championship Racing Week here for the Days Gone By Vintage Apparel Championship Race for the Elite Racing League Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. As we are here at Iowa for 150 laps. Four drivers here tonight battling for a championship glory in the Truck Series. It's Vincent Isabella coming in with 0 wins, 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and 0 poles. That 42 machine is going to need a lot of work to beat out some of these other hungry contenders here at Iowa. The other driver of Hank Steinmiller comes in with 1 win, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 1 pole. Another one of the drivers that's been looking extremely good at the short tracks. Iowa seems to be the place that Hank Steinmiller can get another win for himself. The driver with the most wins of our top 4, Matthew Weeks in the 14, 2 wins, 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and 2 poles for the 14 crew. Again, looking for more wins. He's looked great at the short tracks as well. The underdog coming into today's race. He's got 1 win as well as Hank Steinmiller. That's Alexander Van de Sant. 1 win, 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and 1 pole. But this 97 team has kind of been on a downhill climb, found themselves in the championship for this week. And I got to say, they are my underdog. But right now, top of the board, looking for the pole position. When you need to get the points, why not get the championship win? For those 4 drivers, it's based on whoever finishes in front of the other 4 on who gets the championship win. And in the back of my mind, I got to be thinking the drivers are hunting, and whoever wins this race is probably going to be one of those 4. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is James East. And James, it's championship week through all of the Elite Racing League series, and all of it will be captured here on the Elite Racing Network. James, 150 laps. We're under qualifying right now. What are your thoughts coming into this race?
Oh, Sam, I'm super excited, man. Like we've been saying, a lot of very fast, very consistent drivers in our championship runoff here. I mean, you look at the standing results, all of these guys have a bunch of top 5s, top 10s. Isabella, kind of the dark horse, the number 42 machine, the one driver in our chase here that does not have a win or a pole so far this season, but consistency wins championships. So just by being able to stay in that top 10, keep it clean week in, week out, he finds himself suddenly in contention to bring home the grand prize. So I'm excited. Iowa's definitely a different type of speedway. It's definitely not a cookie cutter track. It's by no means a super speedway, so it's going to be a definite driver's track tonight as these guys try and click off their 3 stages.
Absolutely. And Days Gone By Vintage Racing Apparel, your sponsor for championship week. Do got to give a big thanks to them. They bring the past to the present. Days Gone By Vintage Apparel has you covered with vintage shirts, hats, jackets, and any other great items from the motorsports platform. Take you back, walk back in time today by checking out Days Gone By Vintage Apparel on Instagram, Twitter, or even on their Etsy platform. Thank you, Days Gone By Vintage Apparel, for joining us here on the Elite Racing League and the Elite Racing Network for our championship week for all these drivers. I mean, a whole week of a lot of these drivers trying to go for a championship. Now, for tonight's race, it's going to be a little bit of a smaller field than what we've been seeing because all the drivers that have won championships in other series could not show up for today's race. So we're seeing a little bit of a smaller field than usual, but still excitement in the air for all the drivers here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice and tight racing all the way around. If these guys can keep it clean and run and do a little bit of green flag strategy, that's what we like to see as broadcasters and racers as well. So I'm excited. Iowa's a tough track to tame. I know Weeks felt really confident going into the race today. He's been doing really well in short track driving. I know he said he was fairly confident going into it. Right now he does put himself 3rd on provisional pole, but Van de Sant's the guy to beat. Fody's in 2nd. A lot of fast championship guys running up front. I think pretty much everybody in the championship's in the top 5 right now for qualifying.
I mean, this is what I touched on. I think for our championship 4, kind of like what you see with normal NASCAR stock car. If you're going to win the championship, you're going to have to show up for that last race and come out and probably win it. Alexander Van de Sant, like you touched on, 1st place, Weeks in 3rd, Isabella in 5th. Driver we're looking out for is where is Hank Steinmiller. And Steinmiller all the way back in 18th position. already an uphill climb for this team, as Hank Steinmiller did not have the qualifying run he wanted. A mistake for this team under qualifying, and this is now a tough order for himself. And it looks like they're pushing qualifying ahead. All the drivers that were going to qualify have done so. It's time to go racing here, James, as rewatched it. Hank Steinmiller did wreck coming on that last attempt, as we do have our results. On top of the poll for racing for a championship here tonight, Alexander Van de Sant, with on the outside of him, Tyler Fode. Matthew Weeks going to be in row 2 with Dustin Dorr. Vincent Isabella going to be back in 5th position with Jeff Green to his outside. Then you've got that of Harrison Talon. Dylan going to be Jones in 8th position. Joshua Personette, David Westergreen going to be 9 and 10 with Ryan Barbary, Jordan Owens, Michael Goodman, Alec Balvance, Zach Evans, Trey Holmes, Mark Hills, as well as Hank Steinmiller in 17th. You can put that of Jeffrey Sickles, who missed out on last week's racing event, going to be in 19th and not put it. He was the last driver to put a time down. And some of the drivers that did not put a time down, we'll see if they even show up on the grid. You got Chad Frankenfield, that of Z. Sean Dora, as well as Brody Moore, and that of Kyle Walgreen. Those are your starting drivers for the 23 that have shown up here today. And it looks like Tyler Fode just going to be taking a little bit while for him to get into the groove. But James, 150 laps. We still have stages on lap 40, lap 80, and then we race to the end. What do you think these drivers are thinking in this moment?
I think these championship guys, all except Steinmiller, are hoping for a lot of green flag runs. They can tuck in single file, click off the stages. 3 stages tonight. It's going to be lap 40, 40, and 70, I believe, is the length of the stages. So those championship contenders want to get out front and just avoid any carnage that can ensue. But there's still a big field out here. 23 drivers. Everybody who's racing still wants to get up front, even if they're not in the championship. I mean, racers are going to race, so hopefully the guys can keep it clean and click off some laps and avoid some early lap carnage here.
Touched on the fact that Iowa is a pretty tricky course. It's got multi-groove, very similar to that at Richmond. When you start to see your tires wear at Richmond, that's kind of what we're going to be seeing here at Iowa. A lot of drivers picking and choosing. They want to run all the way at the yellow line, run in the middle, or run in that 3rd groove. Not going to be expecting much drivers up in the 4th lane. But certainly there is space to go 4 wide here at Iowa. Drivers are finally getting going and moving here. I mean, we've waited, we've watched all these drivers. It's all amounted to this race tonight for the Truck Series. It has been an exciting season. We've seen a lot of drama these last couple of weeks in the playoffs, and now it's going to be still a drag race for all of these racers here tonight. And the way that the stage laps have calmed down, there will not be a need for green flag pit stops for these drivers. But there is a couple of things to note for. There are no fast repairs. So for our playoff drivers, their goal, make sure their car is clean for the end of the race. Don't put yourself in any type of trouble, as well as there are 4 sets of tires for them to have here tonight. 1 set they've already got on, 3 in pit road to be utilized during this race, as the lights are already flashing from the crowd. James, before we go green, what are some of your final thoughts before we get going?
Really interested to see what Weeks can pull off. He started 3rd tonight, but Steinmiller, I think he's going to be the car to watch to see how fast he starts pushing through the field, get up there and try to get towards the front as this first stage clicks off. I think the first few laps, you can see everybody pushing super, super hard while the tires are good. And then if you get to lap 10 or 15 with no caution, you might see it calm down a little bit as guys start dropping in single file and then taking a position only when the opportunity arises. But I don't think you're going to see many aggressive passes later on in the run.
Excitement's in the air. It's building up. Yeah, also huge thanks to Old Testament Firearms, C2 Freights and Resources, and Richmar Florist, as we are green for the Days Gone By Vintage Apparel Championship race for the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. As they race down into turn number 1, it's Alexander Van de Sant, Tyler Fode, Matthew Weeks, and Vincent Isabella, your top 4. Dustin Dorr in 5th place. Our top 4, 3 of them are in the top 5.
Man, look at Isabella making a good move up to 3rd. He's riding that inside line. Van de Sant and Fode got a massive, massive launch. These guys are going to tuck in single file and just click down some laps. But Van de Sant, he was over, I think, 1/10 faster than 2nd place in qualifying. So Anderson knows he has the pace to get out front and push. Man, there's going to be some good racing forming up here as the field stacks up behind Isabella.
Yeah, I mean, up front, they're doing a great job. In line, Jeff Green going to be pushing Matthew Weeks now back to 5th. And for Championship 4, you know you want to be up front, but it doesn't mean you have to lead every lap like Van de Sant's doing right now. Bonus points, they don't matter. Stage points, they don't matter. It's based on where you finish at the end of this race on if you're going to win the championship or not. For that of our Championship 4, Vincent Isabella, Hank Steinmiller, Matthew Weeks, and Alexander Van de Sant, those 4 drivers. As right now, Matthew Weeks back to 5th as they all start to string out. The driver expected to move, Hank Steinmiller, he still waits and lingers back in 19th.
Now, I don't think anybody told Van de Sant that stage points don't matter. He clicked off a 23.87 his last time by. The 97 machine is hauling the mail right now. He is hammered down and pushing hard.
Fastest car on track that last time by was Jeff Green. We'll see this time by who is the fastest, but you're right, Alexander Van de Sant not showing any fear right now as front drivers are all driving hard, but you see here, 7th on back. David Westergreen got a large mirror of a pack of drivers, the Hornet's Nest currently of the drivers in the middle of the pack, trying to sort out where they're gonna be, but a lot of hesitation right now from Harrison Talon, Alec Valvance, and also that of Dylan Jones that have all stacked up through 9th through 11th, and all the drivers behind them as well that are putting on a great show for us to see right now.
Glad to see Westergreen. He's up 3 spots right behind Michael Goodman. He's up 5 spots. These guys are pushing hard, pushing early. But look at Hank Steinmiller still riding around at 18th place right there. Has not gained or lost anything yet. Looks like he's just kind of following the field and seeing what these double file guys are doing in front of him. The last thing he wants to do right now is push too aggressively early on the run, trying to make up spot and collect himself. So might be seeing Steinmiller playing it safe for a little while.
Just holding on strong right now, and for Hank Steinmiller, still running in 17th. He's gone up 1 position. The last time we talked to him, he started in 18th, fell back to 20th, and he still has a lot of traffic to get by, but you've seen Hank Steinmiller do it before, starting back in the pack, of the pack, and then moving forward. He certainly could do it here tonight. A long race for himself. We're only on lap 8, coming up to lap 9 of 150. Again, stage 1 comes to a close on lap 40 when the drivers of the top 10 come across the line. So a lot of pressure for them, but still single filing out for most of the field. Jeff Green pressuring Vincent Isabella, and Jeff Green not afraid to really put a lot of, not really saving his tires, understanding this kind of is a sprint for these 40 lap breaks from stage 1 and 2 before we get to the end of this race.
And all these championship drivers are very smart, they're very calculated. They know, hey, if I can't gain 3, 4, 5 spots in this first stage, let's click off a couple, get in a little bit of position for stage 2 start. Do the same thing in stage 3, try and get themselves up front, and kind of treat stage 3 as its own little sprint race, gain as much position as they can heading into it. And then on stage 3, you're going to see some guys hanging it out, banging bumpers, going door to door a little bit more aggressively, as these guys are all chasing that championship.
Keeler as well as Harrison Talon side-by-side racing. This is for 12th position. This is the best run we've really seen from the 08 all season long. Seems to be one of those drivers that gets caught up in an incident early in the first about 15 laps of the race. But a great job for himself, now up to 12th, as that of Jones now going to be passing the 51. And for Harrison in the 51 DoorDash machine, I'm kind of concerned for himself. He's losing ground. Could have burned off those tires extremely quick, getting a little bit too aggressive too soon.
And Sam, this is the battle for 12th we're seeing. 12 through 15 is one big blob of race trucks. This isn't for the lead, but I don't think the guys might not know that. They're pushing as hard as they can early on, trying to eke out some positions before that traction really drops off and the pace slows down. Already, these guys are about half a second slower than they were running at the very beginning of the stage, so tire wear is going to hit them like a brick if they keep charging this hard early on into the run.
Yeah, I mean, also behind all those drivers is where we find ourselves with that of Hank Steinmiller in 18th. He's just waiting and looming. I mean, if we do a hop on board with him, you can just see that it is just a wall of cars that he needs to figure out how to get by. And he's usually not around this amount of drivers. He's usually up front in our top 10. So for Hank Steinmiller, It's around a pack of drivers. He hasn't been around for most of the season, has to gauge how to attack them here today, but you're already seeing it early on, almost halfway through stage one. It's difficult to put yourself in a position to make a pass. It takes about a lap or two when you get to someone's bumper for yourself to set up and make the pass for yourself.
Yeah, I think Steinmiller's going to be playing as safe as he can, try and gain a spot here or there, and not press the issue too much. I believe so far we have 2 cars out. That's going to be Sickles and then Frankenfield unable to take over in.
Yeah, Chad Frankenfield opting out to be our race admin here tonight, so making sure admin's up in the booth to make sure that this race is fair for our 4 championship drivers. And for Sickles, it looks like the race just came to a close for himself. Started this race about 7 laps ago, had to park it for the 78. Jeffrey Sickles ready for the next season to start, as a lot of drivers excited for the next season. I know that we're still in the championship race, but next season's only 2 months away. For these drivers, excitement is certainly in the air for those that have had poor luck and did not have a championship and a playoff running season for themselves. But we look up front, Tyler Fody still in second place, but he's slowly chipping away at the lead.
Now here's a question for you. Do you think the current race leader is going to let Fody by? Do you think Van de Sant's going to let him by if Fody gets a good run? Because right now Van de Sant's in first. His only real worry is 4th place Vincent Isabella, and then Matthew Weeks right behind him. So he knows he's got the gap for the championship finish here. I wonder if he's just gonna race as hard as he can, or if he might be happy letting a couple of non-championship contenders through the line.
I mean, it kind of matters who's in his ear, who is talking with Alexander right now, because if you're racing by yourself, you might lose sight of the big picture of this race of, hey, you're not racing for the win, you're racing between those other 4 drivers. But if Alexander's by himself, then I would be imagining and he's thinking, I want to race hard, I want to win this race, win the championship, and say that I was the best driver when it came to the end of the season. So, you know, it's a little bit of ego challenge these drivers have. I mean, when you're out there racing, James, I mean, do you have that sense of I want to beat everyone and picture kicking at all?
Sometimes a little bit. It's always racers are very good at analyzing danger and everything else, and these guys are really, really smart. They know, all right, I mean, a win is great. Everybody wants to win, but a championship definitely trumps a win. So if you know, hey, I just got to keep it clean and bring home really just ahead of whoever else in your competition, that may play into a little bit hard, a little bit more, especially at the end of a championship. Now, if it's the very beginning of the season, everybody's pushing as hard as they can and they want to win. But I think there'll be a little bit of reservations with Van de Sant as tonight progresses on where he's going to take risks to win that championship.
Van de Sant still holding strong as Tyler Fody inches closer and closer every lap. And that last time by, fastest car on track is actually going to be the driver in 4th place, Vincent Isabella, starting to gain up also on Jeff Green, but was battle for the lead. It's the closest one on track, really, besides the ones of the drivers in the middle of the field, were Goodman and Owens, and looky there, back in the middle of the field, to find Hank Steinmiller battling for 4th place for himself, so slowly chipping away, and I like the strategy by Steinmiller right now, not trying to gain all these positions back in just the first couple of laps, understanding this could be a marathon, even though these are very short stages we're having. In the big picture, 150 laps, you got plenty of time to cut your way through the field to get up and soon, hopefully battling for the win at the end of the last 70 laps of this race.
I do have to think Steinmiller is probably in the most nerve-wracking position out of all the championship drivers. Van de Sant's out front, plenty of space. Isabella and Weeks running 4th and 5th. They've got a chance to keep it clean and stay out there. But man, Steinmiller, he's in the thick of a bunch of cars right now, and he knows, hey, I've got to work hard to try and at least get a top 5 by the beginning of stage 3, which would be my goal as a driver for this. So he's surrounded by a lot more competition that has the ability to accidentally ruin his night. So I think Steinmiller's probably white knuckling pretty hard right now.
As qualifying obviously didn't go the way of Hank Steinmiller, and looking at practice-wise, Steinmiller was just about 100th off of the time of that of Alexander Van de Sant. So, of our top 4 during practice, it was Alexander Van de Sant, Hank Steinmiller, Matthew Weeks, and Isabella was actually the slowest of those drivers on finding the fastest lap during practice. Qualifying, we know that it was Alexander Van de Sant that got the pole position. And we're starting to see Alexander Van de Sant, he's battling back and forth, not just, laying over for Tyler Fode and letting him pull away, which is a very interesting call by the 97, but we're past the halfway of stage 1. Why not challenge and see what type of pace you have compared to some of the other drivers? As Tyler Fode, he was the fastest driver during practice times. Then it was Jeff Green, then Alexander Van de Sant.
Yeah, it almost was like Van de Sant's realizing, all right, this is how close Fode's getting to me right now. Let's get up just a little bit. Because right now they're running pretty much identical laps. So I'm not sure if Van de Sant's got a little bit more in reserve, or if he's just playing cat and mouse, driving his mirrors a little bit, watching Fode and knowing when he has to give a little bit more throttle or when he can back up and breathe a little bit. But with only 0.3, 0.4 second gap between Van de Sant and Fode, it's very, very close. And see what they do this time by.
People are wondering, how long are the stages? Stage 1 comes to a close at the end of lap 40. Stage 2 comes to a close at the end of lap 80. So still a lot of time, but we're coming closer to 10 laps to go here in stage number 1 for these drivers. Again, stage points do not count, but it is a way for this field to reset. And it also gives that of Hank Steinmiller another shot to get closer to the other drivers and make his choice to move up. And looking at the pace of Hank Steinmiller right now, he was running almost exactly the same lap times as our leader, which has to be slightly concerning for Alexander Van de Sant, especially because we got the end of stage 1 and the end of stage 2 to give that of Steinmiller more chances to try to get up and make more passes.
Yeah, and Steinmiller, he's all the way up to 12th, so he's up 6 spots so far. So just slowly making his way to the field, making smart passes, definitely not risking anything right now. So that's what these championship drivers do. Is we look at Steinmiller right now, he's got an absolute pack of cars in front of him. He's got the 16 of Jordan Owens, the 88 of Trey Holmes. They're all going 2x2 right here. So you might see Steinmiller wait a little bit, let those guys sort out their positions before he sticks his nose in the business and tries to take a piece of these guys.
It feels like every single time we go back to rewatch where the 63 is, it's a new group of 5 drivers in front of him that he's got to figure out how to get by, and it's going to be a tall task. But I'm wondering for Hank Steinmiller, we're getting so close to the end of stage 1, does he even want to risk trying to get by this field? Because there is a possibility of these drivers getting a little bit too racy, as we know we're coming to the end of stages. At the end of stages, drivers get a little bit too reckless.
Now, Sam, as Steinmiller goes next corner, look at the right side of the 63 machine. He's got a bunch of damage on that thing already.
He's being pushed up. Jordan Owens really pushing the 63 up on that front stretch the last time by. So certainly is pressuring it with that damage. With no fast repair, he's going to have to figure out how to get that stuff repaired under the stage break, and that's going to be losing him a ton of time because a lot of the other drivers around him don't have that right side damage that the 63 does.
Yeah, so that's I'm curious what happened early on in the run. Maybe he had a brush in with traffic, got pushed wide, or I've seen him get a little bit snap loose as well come out some of the corners when he's driving it really, really hard, so it might be a self-inflicted racing strike there.
Looking back to see exactly what lap this damage came from, because it was in the really early part of this race when he got this damage. And before the 63 of Hank Steinmiller, now he's got to figure out how to race with all of this damage that he has. And looking back, he got this damage early on, lap 1. The reason why he got this damage is he got clipped by that of Jeffrey Sickles, who left the race after tapping the 63 on lap 1, entering turn 1. That's where he got that damage from.
Oh, that's just bad luck. But again, you get a bad qualifying, it puts you in a position you really do not want to be in and try to develop. So well done keeping it out there. Maybe come in during that stage and click off some repairs and still stay out there. But you're right, he wants to gain every bit of track position he can, and that damage is not going to help. So maybe it'll be just a small amount of optionals that'll help him out in the long run, but not a good start to trying to bring it home at the end of the championship here.
No, that's going to be so frustrating. And also as a championship driver, yes, he's in the back, but those drivers in the back have to be aware of the circumstance and the situation they're in as well. You don't want to touch any of the championship drivers Jeffrey Sickles does in lap 1, and now it's going to be a troublesome day because 78's already off the track and is DNF'd for the day. I think he might have been told to park it after making the contact. But got to give credit to Hank Steinmiller. He's up in the top 10 as we're inching closer and closer to the end of stage 1. And yes, he has that damage, but he's running just as quick as the leader.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, if he can come in, take tires, and just stay in his position, stay anywhere in the top 10 for the next stage, and kind of do it again for the second 40-lap stage, he'll be looking really, really good. So he's pushing hard, so you got to give credit where credit's due. Maybe the aero doesn't affect him that bad at Iowa Speedway since it's such a tight track. He's not aero dependent like he would be at Daytona or Talladega, something along that sort. But look at the leaders, Sam Alcmeda and Tyler Fody. They're getting into lap traffic already.
Lap traffic in front of our leaders as we are on the white flag at stage 1 when they cross the line for 10th place. When 10th place crosses the line, stage 1 will come to a close. So Alexander Van de Sande, even though when he crosses the line, the yellow should come out, he's got to wait a little bit longer until 10th place comes across, which they just entered and now are coming out of turn number 4.
So I think you see Van de Sande and Fody take it easy right here. But man, Steinmiller trying to get one more spot in the line, so I think he did not quite clear it. He'll be in 9th on the coming into the pit lane, but good driving from these guys.
I mean, up front, Alexander Van de Sande has gotten the pole, led every lap, and has not looked like the only driver that can really get close to him is Tyler Fody, who was the fastest during practice and had a little bit of a slip up during qualifying that put him back in second, wasn't able to take that first place position. But hey, credit to those that are up front. I mean, Jeff Green started back in 6th up to 3rd. He's shown a lot of pace. But that of Hank Steinmiller, overall, I mean, what a drive for himself. Started back in 18th, dropped all the way back to 20th at one moment after making contact at turn 1 to start out the race. He's now up to 9th. Now the question, will he stay in pit road to try to get that damage repair or just get tires and get back out there?
I think at this point he's going to get back out there as quick as he possibly can. I don't think he's going to be worried that much about aero. Van de Sande currently the car to beat. Tyler Fody's running great in second. But I mean, Trey Holmes, he's up 8 or 9 spots. Steinmiller's up 8 or 9. So a few of these guys pushing really, really hard. And some guys having bad luck. Harrison Talon, he's down 12 spots early on in the race. So not quite coming to him like he wanted to. But we're going to rack this field up on the restart and think it's exciting all over again.
Drivers coming into their pit boxes, and Fody overshoots, has to back up just slightly for the 40 machine. That could be costly for a position for himself. But honestly, anywhere on the inside on the restart seems to be a great place to be. As all the drivers getting now. Jeff Green, a massive loss for himself, as well for Vincent Isabella. And looking at it, Jeff Green beats out Tyler Fody, who, like I said, messed up on entry, had to back up just slightly. Slight mix-up, actually costing him a position.
Yeah, Van de Sande and Tyler Fody had slow pit stops. We saw Fody overshoot it. He was in his box for 15.7 seconds. Van de Sande 15.1. Jeff Green showing the youngins how to do it with a 14.2. So I mean, almost a second among these guys. Green was able to click off and get back up there to second. That's a big move early on.
Hank Steinmiller has to do it all over again. Starting back in 19th position, saw the damage, and wasn't seeing the times like we were seeing, that he was running similar to the leader, but feeling like he needs to get the damage repair. Was in pit road for 41.6 seconds. Hank Steinmiller is going to have a tall task for himself as he moves up to 18th place. But man, oh man, James, we got to see stage 1, stage 2 about to begin. What was your thoughts there for the first stage?
I'll be honest, much cleaner than I expected. Drivers are being very safe with their passes. They're kind of picking and choosing their moments. Nobody's pressing the issue too bad. I'm excited to see people like Jeff Green up here. I mean, he's up 4 spots. Trey Holmes in the 88 machine, he's currently running 6, up 10 spots. And then poor Steinmiller all over again. So he had a 40-second pit stop. He decided optionals was well worth it. He's going to get it totally fixed and then back out there. Going to be curious to see if he can do it again with keeping that machine clean, or if it's going to be more dicey than he wants diving through the field. And this really his last chance of a stage to gain a ton of positions and get a good restart for stage 3.
Yeah, I mean, if he had started in 9th place at the start of this stage, I would have said, watch out. Hank Steinmiller, someone to watch out for. But to do all of the work again, and you know that it's just going to get more and more chaotic as we're getting closer and closer to the halfway of this race. It's going to be more and more dangerous to be in the middle of the pack because drivers are recognizing, hey, I want to get the best finish I can at the end of this season and this last race of the season.
And Sam, talk about our contenders right here. Matthew Weeks, he's down in we know Weeks is in 19. No, yeah, Steinmiller, we kind of knew he was going to have a rough night, but Weeks is down there in the 19th now too.
Matthew Weeks, I'm trying to see if there was any penalties that were given, and I'm not seeing anything. Weeks just decided to stay back and actually just been moved all the way back to 20th position. This is a very odd situation for the 14. I have no idea what actually happened to him.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I mean, his pit times looked good, same as everybody else that took 4 tires and fuel. So right now it's Van de Sande out front, Vincent Isabella in 3rd or 4th on this restart. I'm not quite sure, but that's going to be our 2 podium or contenders right there, championship contenders.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I mean, Matthew Weeks came out crossing the line in 5th position and then just dropped all the way back to the back. So I don't know exactly what happened to himself, but Matthew Weeks and that of Hank Steinmiller, early woes for them, and the other 2 contenders have to be concerned. If half of your people you're battling have issues, got to cross your fingers that you don't get any this time around. Green flag of the air, stage 2 has started. We raced to the end of lap 80. That's when stage 2 would come to a close.
Yeah, they're going to do it once more. Tyler Cody gets back up to 2nd. Jeff Green 3rd. Vincent Isabella, that's our 2nd chance of winning the championship right there. But Van de Sande's going to click off some really fast laps, the first couple laps, and see where the field falls behind them. But man, just like that, the championship got shaken up aggressively. Now maybe those guys in the back are hoping, you know what, maybe Van de Sande, maybe Isabella will get into some carnage and have a rough night. You don't have to win it for the championship, you just have to finish higher than the other contenders. But right now, Steinmiller and Weeks not in a good place going into stage 2.
Yeah, I mean, right now for Vincent Isabella, racing against the recently retired Jeff Green. And Jeff Green, what a illustrious career he's had out in NASCAR, and now racing on the virtual side. He's been doing it for the past year. It's been amazing to see Jeff Green on how much he's gotten faster and faster on the esports side of things. He already had the talent. He proved it in real life. But Jeff Green, certainly someone to be nervous about, because we've seen throughout, I've seen at least throughout multiple different series, Jeff Green willing to be aggressive, but I think he also understands, doesn't want to put himself in any situation that will ruin the chance of some of these guys racing for the championship.
Yeah, crashing yourself out is one thing. It's a really tough thing to deal with. Crashing out a friend, especially one that's in the battle for the championship, is a much, much worse feeling.
Absolutely. And Hank Steinmiller, we saw him start all the way back in 18th position. He's now moved up to 13th, and a driver that had a giant loose sensation out of turn number 4. That's going to be Dylan Jones, able to stay on course. I mean, did not bring out a yellow, but thought for a second there was a chance there of a yellow flag.
Sam, we can pretty much guess that these drivers are going to only take tires at stage in. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they've got plenty of fuel to make it through all the stages without green flag pit stops. We've seen that through all the playoffs where I've not had to see green flag pit stops at all. So we're good. Whenever stage 2 comes to a close, that is your money stop, really. You got to make sure you are perfect and don't make any mistakes like we saw Cody do during the end of stage 1.
Yeah, Anderson, he's putting on a clinic right now. I believe he is the fastest that lap time by. No, Isabella might have clicked off. Now,
scary moment for Hank Steinmiller. Joshua Personette gets loose in front of the 63 and almost got T-boned by that of Hank Steinmiller. So Steinmiller, he's in a mix of trouble up to 12th, but it is still not safe where he's at.
Yeah, Weeks looks like he's kind of fallen as well. Number 14 machine, he's slightly out of on the right side of your frame there, but I think Weeks knows where he needs to get going. He at least needs to keep Steinmiller in his sights to have any hope in the championship. Oh, man, this is not where I would want to be right now.
Absolutely not. Michael Goodman, the 44, now in front of Hank Steinmiller. Steinmiller, he came into this race, and we're staying on him so much is because He's the driver that has the most work he has to do, and then also now Matthew Weeks as they're building up their strength. But our top three, all within about a half a second. In those top three, two of them are your championship four, as that of Alexander Van de Sant, he's being heavily pressured by Tyler Fody, and Vincent Isabella trying a different lane than what the other two have been doing on through 3 and 4, a little bit higher, trying to find that exit speed to keep himself close to our front two.
Yeah, I think Isabella knows he can at least run the same pace as Van de Sant and Fody right now. He has the luxury to be able to kind of check out different parts of the track, see what it feels like, maybe get a little bit of planning done for stage 3. But right now, man, Van de Sant and Fody just hauling the mail. They haven't really slowed down much at all.
Absolutely not. I mean, they've been doing a great job for themselves. And again, Hank Steinmiller, he's a position away from getting back into the top 10. When that last end of stage 1 came out, he was up to 9th. You can already tell the damage that he had was really hurting the 63 because he is really climbing through this field so much faster than what he did during stage 1. And also nipping on his heels, Matthew Weeks at 13th, about to make fast for 12th.
Yeah, Weeks is going to try and let Steinmiller punch through traffic and take advantage of it and just slip on through when he can as well. I mean, we've only got 22 laps left in the stage, so let's see how many positions they can get before we go into stage 3, where it's every man for himself. As we see guys pushing really hard, really aggressive.
So far, have not had any wrecks that have brought out a yellow. Our only yellow of the day was from the end of stage 1. It was at the end of lap number 40, and stage 2 comes to a close at the end of lap 80. So these drivers have a lot to work towards. You're seeing still battling side by side, Goodman and Weeks, and Weeks is trying his best. Driver coming in with 2 wins this season, and one of the tallest tasks that he had to really try to work his way into a great run here, but he made it very easy during our round of 12 to get himself into a championship form, winning immediately in the first race of the playoffs and locking himself in so early on. So the pressure wasn't there until this week started, and really seeing how this week is forming up for the whole entire Elite Racing League of it being championship week. So many drivers starting to feel that pressure when it started to kick in.
Yeah, Weeks, I think he's getting through traffic a little bit slower than Steinmiller. You saw Goodman kept him pissed on that bottom line. Weeks wasn't able to drive up the racetrack. He can drive out of the corners like he wants to. And now Steinmiller, he's moved up to 9th. He's in the thick of it. He's right behind Alec Balvans. David Westergaard's leading that pack. And Barbieri's behind Steinmiller. So a lot of talented drivers in the mix here. You see our championship contenders trying to eke out a couple more places whenever they can and put themselves in a better position for stage 3.
Yeah, and as we continue to watch the middle of the field, there was, I thought, for a second, a chance for the battle for the lead, but Fody just wasn't able to hold on strong. Still single file up front, but huge credit to that of Hank Steinmiller, who had to cut his way through the field twice now. And this second time, it seems like with ease for himself, up to 9th place, soon to be up to 8th. Now, I think the rest of the field has to be slightly concerned on the fact that he's got the same amount of pace as our front two. Just a little bit too far back. If anything, I'm going to feel comfortable if we see Steinmiller get up to our top 5 or top 6. Around that range, I'll think that maybe Steinmiller has a shot at winning this race.
Yeah, I'm 100% agree with the pace he's showing this far. Granted, it is shorter stages, only 40 laps. He's got a clean truck now. He's definitely got some pace. So if he can get himself, like you said, at top 5, top 6, then we see that championship battle really form up. Weeks kind of lagging behind. He's still in 11th place right now, so we've got about 15 laps on the stage left, so hopefully these guys can at least get a few more spots and put on a great show in that final stage.
Fastest car on track, it's Hank Steinmiller currently, but up front, they've not been getting away from one another. Tyler Fody has been staying within 2/10 of Alexander Van de Sant this whole entire stint. And the question is, who's been burning up their tires? Well, the answer to that was Vincent Isabella, who was keeping it close, but now is falling back about a second back from second place, and now into the clutches of Jeff Green for 3rd. So Isabella shown has the pace at least for the first 15 laps of a run, but anything more than that, those tires fall off extremely quick.
Yeah, I think Van de Sant's got to be really, really happy here. Even though Fody is all over him, he's got to be happy just having that buffer truck between him and third place Vincent Isabella for that championship battle. So if he can just keep hammering down and try to do the same thing for stage 3, he's got to feel better having that buffer instead of having another contender right behind you. Just that little bit of traffic makes the guy behind, or 2 cars back from you, a little bit slower. It makes them work a little bit more to get up to you.
I mean, looking at some of the drivers that just missed out. I mean, Jeff Green just missed out of being in our Final 4. He was a driver that didn't have a win, but had 2 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 1 pole. Jeff Green certainly had the pace, but right now, if anything, pressuring one of our Championship 4 drivers, that of Vincent Isabella. And what a run it has been for Isabella. Doesn't have a win. The only driver of our top 4 that doesn't have a win coming into this race. And one of those drivers that I like to touch on when I came back to the Elite Racing Network is it's always seemed like Isabella would be a driver that would always start further back in the middle of the pack and then later on in the race step up, be in the top 5 in the final 30 laps of a race and be very surprising. But you're seeing it here recently in the past, 6 races of the season. A lot has stepped up for this 42 team that has decided to get the pace early in the race, so he doesn't have to work so hard, and the chances of being caught up in the middle of the pack wrecks.
Yeah, Isabella all season long has been a really good long-run driver. I mean, just like you said, the later on the season, suddenly you start seeing his name pop up top 10 a little bit more often. The last few rounds, you see top 5s more often. So Isabella's really coming to grips with the truck, and then just kind of his race mentality and getting everything figured out. So good to see the 42 of Isabella. He's really coming to his own this season. And I think next season he'd be a guy to watch as well. He had bad luck early on the season, involved in more crashes than he'd care to admit. Sometimes they were self-induced and sometimes it was bad luck. But as he finds himself in that top 5, top 10 more often, the racing gets a little bit cleaner and you're a little bit less likely to get spun around if it's not your own fault.
Yeah, I mean, it is so much nicer to be up front. You don't have to worry about that pressure. The only pressure you have to worry about are maybe like 2 or 3 drivers that are going to be racing hard with you, but you got so much more space and breathability up front than really being back where we've been seeing Matthew Weeks, Hank Steinmiller having to cut their way through. Matthew Weeks has really been trying to make the outside line work for himself, and gotta give credit to the 14. He's finally cracked the top 10, but he wasn't from an easy route for Matthew Weeks. He really got pressured by the 46 of Ryan Barbary and also by Personette trying to get by. And then in front of him in 7th place, Hank Steinmiller. He's been chipping away at the 88 of Trey Holmes and doing a great job side by side for that of 3rd place, Jeff Green, forcing Isabella to be high. And I gotta say, Isabella, you want to be in 3rd place when this stage comes to a close and you go get racing again, because the inside groove so strong and dominant in the first 8 laps with fresh tires. I think Isabella either needs to have a great pit stop or fight back and try to get by Jeff Green.
Yeah, Van de Sant's got to be really happy now. He's got 2 non-championship contenders between him and Isabella, but here goes Isabella. He's got the low line this time. Unfortunately, he won't be able to drift up the racetrack and carry the speed that he wants to. He's going to tuck back in behind Jeff Green and maybe think about it in the next lap round, try and make something happen.
So you have to be careful of the driver behind him, Jordan and Owens. What a great run it's been for the 16 this race as they come across the line halfway through Iowa for the Days Gone By Vintage Apparel Championship race. Thank you so much for Days Gone By Vintage Apparel for being the main sponsor for Championship Week here on the Elite Racing Network and the Elite Racing League for all the different series that are racing this week. You've got yourself with trucks. You got your trucks with the old Testament Firearms truck series. You've also got the Xfinity series for the SMRI Productions National Series, and then you've also got that of the Join APS Cup Series that have been doing a great job as well. Thank you again for Days Gone By for sponsoring Championship Week here on the Elite Racing Network.
Sam, Isabella's got problems. He's way off the pace and dropping back quickly. Jeff Green got a by and absolutely checked out. Isabella is about half a second slower than Green right now. And here comes Jordan Owens. He wants a piece of it too. So I think Isabella might have blown those tires early on the run, and he's going to be rapidly falling back at this place. Steinmiller, he's up to 7. Steinmiller now in the mix of it as well.
Yeah, and with seeing the drop-off from Isabella and Owens, it's now brought Trey Helms and Steinmiller into the mix. I mean, Steinmiller, by the end of this stage, could have moved up from 18th all the way up to 4th if he can make these passes soon enough. But we're still 2 laps to go here in Stage 2, as when it comes to the end of lap 80, Stage 2 will come to a close. So for Isabella, it's hold off Jordan and Owens for just 1 more lap. And for that, for Hank Steinmiller, it might be try to pass 3 cars in 1 lap.
Yeah, Steinmiller, you're about to see something spectacular here, I believe. He's right behind Trey Holmes. He's a very good short track driver. Not sure if he's going to have the leftover traction to do something very aggressive, but he's taking a look at the inside line of Holmes right now. He may send it in next time by. It doesn't look like he's going to. He's carry a little bit more speed. He might be happy finishing 7th at the end of this stage.
Great job for himself, as it's going to be Alexander Van Sant winning another stage. And we wait for Alec Valvanse. He crosses the line now. Yellow waves. Stage 2 comes to a close. And it has been all Alexander Van Sant all race long. He's been up front, not giving a care about anyone else, but the drivers he needs to worry about. All 3 other contenders for the championship are in the top 10. Matthew Weeks in 9th. Then you've got yourself Hank Steinmiller in 7th. Vincent Isabella in 4th. But they've got a lot of work to do if they want to somehow catch up to the 97, who has been poised and setting himself up for a great finish here tonight and a chance to win the championship and the race.
Oh, this is about to get very, very exciting. Van de Sant, if these pit cycles kind of stay where they have been, and Fody and Green can get out right behind them, Isabella's going to be in a tough spot. Van de Sant's got to be happy. The guy to watch, though, Steinmiller, up 11 spots, up into 6th. We know he has the pace of these 40-lap stages. Will the 70-lapper still give him enough opportunity to make up those big moves like we've been seeing? Or will Van de Sant be able to save a little bit of tires, keep Fody and Green behind them, and check out the end of this thing?
I mean, like you say, it's 70 laps. These drivers now have to focus on. It's going to be more of 65 laps when we get Green. But the question of a clean pit stop needs to be stated. If you can get through your pit box without making any mistakes, it's very important. As you see there, Van de Sant perfectly in. It was Matthew Weeks when he came out of pit stops. He dropped all the way back to 20th. Hopes the 14 doesn't have issues like that again. And also for Hank Steinmiller, how many issues is he going to have? Is the 88 spins coming out of pit road, and now in his pit box completely sideways. Issues for the middle of the pack.
That's not ideal.
Oh, Helms, that is terrible for a driver that was marking himself possibly for a top 5 finish. One of his best finishes this season goes up in smoke because of the money stop mistakes trying to get out of his pit box.
Well, if you're not going to make it, Sam, you got to at least make it interesting. So well done for him for at least making the end of the show highlight reel. But look at this. Fody's the first car out. Van de Sant 2nd. Green 3rd. Isabella 4th. So do I see that right? Yeah, we got Steinmiller and Weeks. Yeah. They're up to 6th and 7th as well.
Oh, boy. And, for a lot of these drivers, got to be keeping themselves, in tune, hoping for a great finish here tonight. And, you might be wondering, why is Tyler Fody on the outside? Well, his teammate from Lake Norman is Vincent Isabella in 2nd place. I'm expecting these drivers to really time this restart to help one another out. Also on that Lake Norman team, it's Hank Steinmiller on part of that team. So, you got some teammates battling back and forth, trying to make sure they've got the best run for a great race. And then on the Pro Edge side, that's where you find Matthew Weeks, who is needing all his teammates to help him, but a lot of them are behind the 14. It's not going to be the best drivers to try to get a lot of insight from.
Man, if we're going to see carnage tonight, Sam, I think this is going to be it, my friend. You're going to see five laps of madness as guys try and get them to their formation, and then everybody's going to be playing the tire wear game, see who has enough left in the end and can push a little bit harder. Right now, Alex Van de Sant, our current championship leader, he's in the top spot to bring home the big money. Isabella's in 4th. Then you've got Steinmiller in 6th and Weeks in 7th. Our 4 drivers very, very close. So they're going to be pushing hard, and we'll expect to see a little bit of hurt feeling to these championship drivers try and make the field move out of their way with a quickness here.
Lights are still on, so we got time to talk about our championship 4 drivers. Vincent Isabella touched on it, the only driver of our top 4 that are racing for a championship without a win. But he does have 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s, so keeping it consistent in the top 10 at least for himself. But then you drop down to that of Alexander Van de Sant. He had a lot of speed showing for himself, got the pole position at Daytona to start the season off, his only win at Sonoma back for round number 4. And then Hank Steinmiller, only win for himself, the Daytona race. It started all off great for this team in the 63, but since then it has been an up and down battle of a lot of mistakes, a lot of heartbreaks, and a lot of speed as well to put himself in this position. Matthew Weeks, our only multi-time winner in our top 4 of the racing for this, won back at Atlanta and then got his win to lock himself into our championship 4 race at Dover to start this thing all off. Certainly a lot of pace, a lot of different storylines, but certainly in this race, it's been all Alexander Van de Sant, except for a pit stop mistake that has cost them the lead position. It's Tyler Fode up front, Alexander Van de Sant, Vincent Isabella, Jeff Green, Hank Steinmiller, and those are your top 5. Matthew Weeks, all the way back in 8th place, has a lot of work to do as we're green. Once again, we race to the end of this thing in the Days Gone By Vintage Apparel Championship race for here in the Old Testament Firearms. It's Tyler Fode, and side by side is Alexander Van de Sant and Vincent Isabella and Hank Steinmiller all in a line.
They touch. Van de Sant and Isabella get just barely together. It's going to drop Isabella off the pace. I thought he had the run to get clear of Van de Sant, but doesn't look like it. So that's our battle for the championship right now. First place, as cool as it is, the championship battle is right behind him between Van de Sant and Isabella. Steinmiller's in the mix up to 3rd. Oh, we got a championship race now, Sam.
And we absolutely do. 3 of our 4 in the top 5. Matthew Weeks back in 9th place. Still has a lot of work to do and a lot of traffic in front of him. It's a wall of cars for the 14 if he wants to get up front and challenge for the lead. Hank Steinmiller in 4th place. He was a driver that had to cut his way through the field, both through stage 1 and 2, but Alec Balvance into the wall, and Matthew Weeks had to avoid the 5.
Yeah, Balvance got into that right side very, very hard. Kind of slowed down that field. You saw him scatter a little bit. A lot of these guys that are 8 rows back, they can't see anything besides what's right in front of them. In this case, a nice shiny rear bumper. So guys have to do a little bit of defensive driving unexpectedly. But man, let's see if Isabella can hold on to it from Steinmiller. Right now, he wants to chase down Van de Sant as quickly as he can, at least for running the same pace as.
Stage 1 and stage 2, both 40 laps for themselves. Gotta get a little bit of a taste of what the sprint is like, but it's 65 laps that these drivers have to run here to the end of this thing. So it's 25 extra more laps that the drivers have to focus on, try to save their tires so they have the best stuff at the end of this race, but also try to keep pace with the other championship drivers. It's Alexander Van de Sant who dominated stage 1 and 2, but a little bit of a pit stop mistake gave Tyler Fode now the lead. And for Alexander Van de Sant, that little bit of a buffer of a non-playoff driver is no longer there. A simple mistake could cost him the possible lead of our championship 4.
Yeah, I mean, all just like that, things got rapidly shaken out. Looks like Isabella's sucking up to those top 2 trucks, too. She's right behind Van de Sant. I know Van de Sant would much rather be out front and have Fode behind him acting as a buffer, but he's got 2 other championship contenders right behind him right now. As we see Van de Sant taking a look down the inside, can he make it stick on Fode? He does not. Now Isabella's in the mix. Isabella carried that faster line. He's got the pace on Van de Sant. But it's so hard to pass on that middle line right now. Van de Sant's going to be very, very defensive and slide back up in front of Isabella.
Isabella now going to be finding the space on the inside. Gets under that of Alexander Van de Sant. Van de Sant, he's got to hold strong. The biggest issue is sliding up as that of Isabella gets loose. Almost taking out the 97 in himself in that little bit of a bobble. It's now going to be costing him 3rd place possibly here because Hank Steinmiller now is in the mix.
Yeah, Isabella using up a little bit of traction and a little bit of luck on that one. He's going to fall off just about a half a second behind Van de Sant. It looks like he had it, but he did the right thing and checked way up to avoid going to the outside and hit the 97. Last thing you want to do as a championship driver is crash the other championship drivers. And they're all kind of in a mix right now, so any single mistake up front can collect most of the championship. Weeks might have a little bit more shot of getting back into it.
Tyler Fode, not a championship driver, just trying to get a win here at the end of the day. And then you've got Alexander Van Sant, Vincent Isabella, Hank Steinmiller, 3 of your top 4 in the championship. Where's the 4th driver? He's in 7th, able to make the pass by that of Zach Evans and Joshua Personette, but he is about 2.5 seconds back from that of Alexander Van Sant. A lot of work and time to be gained for the 14. With it not looking like we're going to have a caution unless we get later on in this race, it's going to take a lot of patience from the 14. He's got to figure out how to save his tires and save enough that he can slowly start to chip away and gain up on our front 3.
Now on lap 93, we almost had a caution. Jordan Owens had a big bobble, went off track, came back on, went off track. So almost brought out the caution there as we see Owens getting pushed way down the running order. So well done for him for keeping it green and letting the race go on. But, oh, it just takes one mistake from somebody not in that top 5, and just like that, these guys are re-racked and they're back in it. So we'll see. God, I hope it's a green flag run.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy for these drivers, there is no green flag pit stop needed. These drivers can make it to the end. It's about how well can you conserve your tires. Vincent Isabella, we saw during stage 2, was able to keep up for the first 15, 20 laps and then just dropped off like a rock. Well, we've been green for the past 15 laps on these tires, and I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. Isabella's still there, but also Hank Steinmiller has been in complete save mode, not feeling like he needs to pressure the front 3. I'm wondering if Isabella made the same mistake during stage 2 here to finish off this race.
Yeah, Isabella definitely fell off really, really hard towards the end of stage 2. Not sure, maybe talked to his crew chief, made a little bit of adjustments on his drive and his line. Steinmiller's got some pace right now. I think he's going to get by Isabella in the next 2 laps, and he's going to try and get up there in the front and challenge Van Sant. Right now, it looks like Isabella's falling off already. So maybe he's got a voice in the back of his head saying, hey, you've got 50 more laps. You might want to save some tires here. Steinmiller, man on a mission at 63, looking for a line to make happen against the 42.
Alexander Van Sant and a swamp of Lake Norman drivers. He's got that of Tyler Fode, Lake Norman driver, as well as that of Vincent Isabella, and you're going to throw in that of Hank Steinmiller in the mix. 3 versus 1 up front. And you might be wondering what happened with that of Matthew Weeks, still currently in 7th place, and he's continuously losing ground on our leaders. The 14 might need a caution if he wants to get back in the mix of things.
Yeah, Weeks not looking good for our buddy, the number 14 machine, but this battle for the top championship spot really shaping up. I mean, Van Sant's running a great pace, maybe not trying to push around Fode too much, maybe Fode's trying to carry the pace and make Van Sant burn up some tires so his teammates can get around him. A lot of strategy going on around here.
Well, you know the teammates of Isabella and Steinmiller, they're going to battle each other as hard as possible, and you got to be thinking there's got to be a team communication of, hey, Tyler Fode, do not let the 97 pass. Keep him at bay, keep him close, and just make him use up his stuff. And I know it is all about the championship race here tonight, but I do want to give credit to the driver that is in 5th place currently, David Westergreen. What a run it is for this 2 truck that is battling now Jeff Green behind these leaders, but certainly up front, it is a hard-fought battle of 3 of our top 4 are battling for the championship and could be battling for the win at the same time.
Yeah, this is really, really close race. I mean, Steinmiller all over Isabella right now. I'm not sure what the game plans are. I mean, everybody's competing for a win, but I'm a little surprised that these guys haven't worked a little bit more single file and tried to catch up to Van Sant to put their team in a better position, but I think everybody's just racing as hard as they can right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of trying to give, a lot of take going on. I mean, Alexander Van Sant, he's looking smooth. He's been running consistently the same line lap after lap. It's Vincent Isabella that I'm concerned about. It just seems like he's overdriving these corners, and slowly following behind him is Steinmiller that's doing a very similar thing, but this time around, Steinmiller didn't have to worry about passing a lot of drivers. It's more of keeping the pace, so in those final 20 laps, final 30 laps, you've got the tires to make a charge and go for the win, as Steinmiller now gets low once again, right at the quarter panel of Vincent Isabella, but had to back out of it, just did not have the momentum for that too.
Yeah, I think Steinmiller's got a little bit more pace right now, so he's going to keep eyeing, and oh, there goes Isabella into the wall. Isabella with a big moment. He's going to check up bad, and then Steinmiller's going to get around and take 3rd place.
That was a it looked like maybe a small little tap, but that was a massive lick, losing momentum. And that is damage that is going to be hurting a lot to Vincent Isabella that was already struggling with tires. Oh, it just snowballs for Vincent Isabella. That looked like he had almost a shot here for a championship win.
Yeah, Van de Sande looks like he was one of the faster trucks out there. Took off a 23.87 behind Fode's 23.91. Not sure that's going to give Steinmiller a chance. Steinmiller's only about a tenth faster than Van de Sande right now. So, I mean, we still have 42 laps. So that's plenty of time, but that's got to be nerve-wracking to have that carrot in front of you, knowing you can't push 100% if you have to save some tires.
Yeah, I mean, but it's helpful knowing that you have your teammate Tyler Fode just holding off Van de Sande right now and just pressuring the 97 every single time he tries to go low and make a pass. Tyler Fode pinches and forces Alexander not able to make the pass fully. And for Tyler Fode, he's kind of just doing the same thing. He's just putting a carrot out in front of Van de Sande saying, hey, there's plenty of room, even though he's running just slightly about 3/4 of a groove higher than that bottom line. So it gives, tricks our mind thinking there's enough space, but in reality, there really isn't for the 97 down low.
Yeah, Van de Sande's about like 6 seconds ahead of Steinmiller. Both of these guys clicking off very, very similar lap times right now. I'm not sure if these guys are playing the tire wear game and seeing what they can get away with, or again, I'm surprised Steinmiller hasn't used up a little bit of that traction bank to try and catch up more to Van de Sande. But he might be playing it safe and trying to have the tires when we get closer to 15 laps to go to really, really charge.
And for Steinmiller, he really got to take a lot of notes on how to drive in dirty air. But Alexander Van de Sande, I mean, this third stage to the end of the race was his first time really being behind another driver because he was leading the whole entire race to this point. So I'm interested on how Van de Sande is feeling right now. The fact that he's might be feeling like, hey, I want to lead, I want that fresh air. It looks like he might be slightly over driving the exit of these corners, getting on the throttle a little bit too soon. And as I'm saying that though, running a little bit slower than Hank Steinmiller, but Steinmiller made a mistake a lap prior to this that is just hurting the 63 that just seems to be having the same issues. Tire wear is the biggest factor right now. Drivers struggling to stay low, and if you stay low, you really don't have the power to get off the corner.
Yeah, that time by Steinmiller just a hair faster than Van de Sande, but that time by they all click off the same lap time. So, man, this is gonna be a tough one to see what happens here with a little less than 40 laps to go. Man, I don't know. I'm intrigued, Sam.
I think if we're going to be seeing a battle for the championship, a caution is needed. Hank Steinmiller went from running about a tenth faster to a half a tenth faster than Van de Sande to being about a full tenth off and losing ground greatly. And that time by ran just about 300ths faster. That isn't enough really to keep that type of a pace to have a chance to really win this thing. But then behind them, Vincent Isabella, same time that we saw during stage 2, where his tires just gave out and he was being pressured by other drivers. Same situation has happened again. Isabella dropping back to 5th after Jeff Green making the pass. And who's up to 6th? It's Matthew Weeks. Weeks being patient, running very similar lap times to our front 3. Biggest issue, he's 3.8 seconds back.
Yeah, it's a big gap with 34 to go. You might have a lot left in the bank, but at what point do you decide, hey, I got to hammer down now and try and get some spots? And right now, I mean, everybody's so smooth and consistent up front. It's tough to really figure out where it's gonna fall here.
For Isabella, also that right side damage that he got from hitting the wall about 15 laps ago, that's catching up to him. Looking at Weeks, that machine looking still clean. Steinmiller still has that slight damage that he got from lap 1 after being contacted by Jeffrey Sickles. And I mean, that contact, I'm just wondering, I mean, I know Steinmiller was running practically equal times as Steinmiller. I mean, Van de Sande to Steinmiller during practice, but Steinmiller's damage, I think that might be the other factor that's giving the 97 this shot to pull away. As the Steinmiller's, it looks like he's slowly he's not gaining enough and he's not losing enough, but it certainly is keeping him in a limbo where he doesn't have a shot to even make a dive bomb pass.
Yeah, 0.6 seconds back, that's pretty big on this small racetrack. And what I have to wonder too, if Steinmiller, he put down extremely good lap times early on in his run, but was that using all the traction he had with no tire saving, and him just trying to push it a little bit more aggressive of trying to drive around that aero damage he might have?
Drivers I was praising of doing great up front. David Westergren, he was up in 5th place, now back to 8th, dropping back, very similar to Vincent Isabella. So we're starting to see the drivers that were not able to save, they're falling back. The drivers that have saved for this final 30-lap run, they're starting to make that charge forward. And who's that driver that's trying to make the charge forward? That's the 14 of Matthew Weeks, who now is caught up to that of Jeff Green. And Jeff Green, he was running pretty similar lap times to our leader, but Matthew Weeks, he's making these passes, and that's what's costing him time. Still almost about 4 seconds away from Tyler Fode, our leader. To do it.
Yeah, man. Look at Van de Sande. He's starting to get a little bit closer to Fode as well, so not sure if he's trying to press the issue or maybe Fode's backing it up a little bit. You guys are clicking off, once again, pretty much identical lap times. I'm just not sure who's setting the pace right now. Is it Fode? Is it Van de Sande? Who's driving the hardest here? Steinmiller was watching this show in front of him. He's still about the same gap he has been for the last 5 laps, trying to get in there and get a little bit closer and get within striking distance.
Last time by fastest car of the top 3 was Tyler Fode by about 5/100ths over Hank Steinmiller, and it was Van de Sande that was the slowest of our top 3. Put that of Matthew Weeks into the mix. Weeks a 10th faster than our front 3, and he is starting to chip away at that gap just very slightly, but he's doing what I thought was enough. But that last time by losing that 10th that he just gained, you can't be playing that limbo game back and forth. Same thing we've been seeing from Steinmiller. You gotta just be constantly and consistently gaining time if you want a shot to close up on these guys.
Yeah, Weeks right now, with the amount of laps we have and the time difference, he does not have enough laps. If everybody keeps the same pace, he will not be able to catch the leaders at this rate. You need about 5-6 extra laps to even get up there. So Weeks has to figure something out where Fode and Van de Sande's tires are going to fall way off for him to have a shot, I believe, at this point in the race.
And looking at the field right now, our top 7 of the drivers that were in our top 12 in points. Zach Evans, who was a major wild card on how well he was going to do during the playoffs, didn't really have the showing he wanted. He's up to 7th, about to move up to that of 6. He's caught up to Isabella, but up front still same story, different tune of what the race was like most of the time. With first half of this race for stage 1 and 2, it was all Alexander Van de Sande. Since then, stage 3, all Tyler Fode in the 40 machine, but still, they've been keeping the same pace together and staying close. Same thing they've been doing since stage 1 and 2.
Now, what scares me, though, Steinmiller's falling way off the pace. He's just second back from Van de Sande right now, and about 2/10 a lap slower. So Steinmiller may have cooked his tires early on. I'm not quite sure, but he's not looking too good right now, Sam, as far as having a shot at Van de Sande goes.
Yeah, and I've been watching that of Hank Steinmiller. He's running about, a lane to 2 lanes, sometimes even 3 lanes higher than what our front 2 have been doing. I think that could be the main factor on why he's burning off these tires. He's trying to get a little bit too much of trying to make that outside lane work, where it was keeping him equal, sometimes a little bit faster, but it's staying low that has kept the consistency for our front 2. And still looking at the times being placed, it's not looking good for Matthew Weeks. He's now 4 seconds back from Tyler Fode. When we first started touching on Weeks, when he got up to 4th, he was only about 2.5-3 seconds off our leaders. So he's been consistently losing time. As looking back at some of the other action that's been on track, this is a battle that's for 17th. Dustin Dorr, Zishan Dura, and Zishan is keeping himself quiet, but could be making a pass here, or this could be a place that we could be seeing a caution coming out for a late incident to turn this race into a real sprint.
Yeah, all these guys have been pushing back and forth. Zishan and Dura have swapped back and forth 3 or 4 times over the last couple laps. You see the 05 of Valvance pushes way high. Valvance had a very big wall touch earlier as well, and Everybody had to scatter behind them. These guys are pushing really, really hard. It's a battle all the way through between 15th to 18th. Everybody driving really, really hard back here.
No one wants to be the last car finishing out this race, and that's why we're seeing a lot of this hard racing. I know for Alex Balvance and for Harrison Dowland, they have got into the wall for both of them, so dealing with some damage, but still side by side, giving Dusty Dewar here a chance for him to make a pass, possibly, as he might be splitting it 3 wide. Got to be careful. Again, these are drivers that are battling for 15th position, but putting on a show. The drivers up front still single filed out.
Well, none of these guys, that could have been way, way dicey as number 17 machine Zishan drove it in deep. Almost looked like he was going to get into the back of the turning 2 machine with Dustin Dewar, so well done holding on to it. These guys are nice. They got loads back here.
Just continuously staying side by side as Dewar going to get a little bit out of shape there. Oh man, just keeping it so close to one another. And Zishan certainly not giving up on that outside lane. Feeling like hey, there might be a little bit of speed here, but it hasn't worked out for him to complete that pass just yet. As now they're just rubbing on one another coming out of 4.
Man, that's good tight racing. I mean, this is for 17th. We're not, I mean, it's not championship drivers, but everybody's pushing as hard as they can. Some of the great racers you'll get to bang doors with in the racing leagues. What about these guys putting on a show no matter what position they're in?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you come into races and you know, hey, I'm not going to be racing around those championship drivers. Just want to have my own great race and have my personal positions I want to finish in. And sometimes that's just, I want a top 15 finish in the Elite Racing League. I feel like these guys are really strong, but I feel like I've at least got a top 15 truck in. We certainly are seeing some great action here. I mean, Zishan has shown a lot of pace in a lot of the other series. Here in the trucks, it has been a struggle for the 17. And for Dustin Dewar, he's had some glimpses of speed as well. And then also poor luck or moments of just a lack of talent. But for both these guys that are in the back half of the field, it has been just a constant how to get better each week. And they certainly have proved it. They do get better week after week, even though we're going so many different courses.
Ball Vance, he has another moment where the rear of that truck kind of steps loose. He's going to slow down Zishan just a little bit. It's going to allow Dewar to dive down the inside. So this is about to get very, very exciting back here for 17.
Absolutely. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to 10 laps to go, and they're racing pretty hard. Talked about how there is a chance of a yellow coming out and changing the whole entire aspect of our Championship 4. Where are they running now? Well, right now, leading of our Championship 4, that could win the championship where they're staying right now. Alexander Van Sant in 2nd place. Hank Steinmiller is in 3rd place, but about 1.7 seconds back from Alexander Van Sant. That of Matthew Weeks, currently in 4th place, but he's over 3, almost 4 seconds back from that of Alexander Van Sant. A lot of work for himself. A driver that is actually almost 10.5 seconds back. Vincent Isabella in 6th place, needing new tires as he continues to lose time lap after lap.
Yeah, Steinmiller and Weeks have got to be praying for a caution right now to try and get another shot at Alex Van Sant, currently in championship winning spot. Now, Bodie and Van Sant are going to be the first trucks you see punching through traffic here, so that might slow the pace a little bit. Though it's yellow flag.
Yellow flag waves, and where is it? It's the 22. Dylan Jones blinks out of the race.
Well,
and when he blinks, we don't know what happens, but he's up in the wall after that. Possibly.
That's just bad luck.
I mean, it could be internet that he had issues with, his screen going black, or that of a tire popping. I mean, those are the factors that we could be thinking about. We touched on the fact that tires were needed for some of these championship drivers. Well, drama certainly has kicked in late in this race. With 10 laps to go, a caution waves, and it is going to be a true sprint to the end. EOL not going to be given to that of Dylan Jones, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be staying in pit road trying to get service repaired for himself when we get back green. But everyone's coming into pit road. This is your final set of tires and your last chance to make a big move.
Van Sant goes out. He stays out.
Van Sant just threw this race away.
I think he did, man. If Steinmiller and Weeks can come out of, oh man.
No way. Alexander Van de Sant never saw another driver peek out. He just did that on his own. What a gutsy call from the 97, which the only thing that's in my mind is he might have thought this was a green, white checkered scenario possibly, and he thinks that he can get a big enough lead, but we're going to have about 6 laps to go when we go green again.
Oh boy, that was either the most brilliant move I've ever seen or the worst. Look at Isabella. He took 2 tires. He's going to come out in 2nd place.
Oh,
Steinmiller and Weeks are going to be 5th and 6th. Oh, this is about to get exciting.
Oh man, Steinmiller and Weeks are licking their chops, loving this.
Yeah, just like that, they're back in it. Steinmiller's up 13 spots. Van de Sant, I can't imagine he's going to be able to hold on until the possible green-white checker scenario. I don't see it happening. Isabella, Bray moved Cotton with 2 tires. Oh, boy.
Well, let's do a quick rundown of our Championship 4. Hank Steinmiller started the race off, got a bump entering turn number 1 that pushed him up into the wall, got early damage that he could not get repaired until the end of stage 1. Then he had to go through the field twice during stage 1 and 2 to finally get himself up in the top 5. He got up to 3rd, that was the furthest up that he got. Then you look at Matthew Weeks. Started stage 1 off great, was in the top 10, running in the top 5 at times, then had a pit issue coming at the end of stage 1 that put him all the way back in 20th, where he had to do the same thing that Steinmiller did, moving all the way up. Alexander Van de Sant dominated stage 1 and 2, and then had a pit incident that put him back in 2nd place, felt comfortable, felt confident, one of the most dominant cars with Tyler Fode. And then you got Vincent Isabella, got bumped, had an issue during the 3rd stage under green, got into the outside wall coming out of 4, and he's had damage that he's had to deal with. But up front right now, Alexander Van de Sant, on 60 lap older tires than the rest of the field, decided to stay out. Vincent Isabella went with 2 tires, and the rest of the field went with all 4. Dustin Dorr went with 2, as he's now up to 7th, but that's behind our championship drivers. Alexander Van de Sant in 1st, Vincent Isabella in 2nd, Hank Steinmiller in 5th, Matthew Weeks in 6th. That row 3, they are going to be coming with a head of steam. Their goal, get in front of Van de Sant and Isabella and duke it out between the 63 and the 14.
If Van de Sant and Isabella win, or one of those drivers wins this thing, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind.
I mean, they're going to need a quick caution if that's going to happen. With Dustin Dorr taking 2 tires and being in the middle of the field, easily could happen. We could have drivers' wheels spinning up front, causing the calamity, and then we're going to be finding ourselves in a green-white checker scenario where if Alexander Van de Sant's up front in a green-white in an overtime scenario, he easily could win this thing. And I believe there's only 1 attempt at a green-white checkered in this series.
Yeah, Van de Sant, I mean, he's not going to get a great launch. His tires are ancient at this point, so he's going to have to roll in the throttle or worry about wheel spins. That's going to stack the field behind him and helps his chances of bringing out a caution, but Isabella might be able to get just enough launch to put himself in front of Van de Sant. And, oh, I don't know, Sam. This is going to be spectacular.
Lights are off. We're going this time by. It's going to be a 5-lap shootout unless we see someone wheel spin and cause calamity that would put us in an overtime scenario. It's all built up for this. This is the Elite Racing League Old Testament Firearms Series Championship week for the Days Gone By Vintage Apparel Championship race. It's all come down to this. Alexander Van de Sant, Vincent Isabella, Hank Steinmiller, and Matthew Weeks. They're battling for this moment right now. We're green, and immediately it's green. Matthew Weeks involved, and we're quick yellow.
Weeks involved, green involved. Van de Sant keeps it out front for the. Oh, that's going to be a big one.
Absolute parking lot, because they never even got to turn number 1. Oh boy!
All right, we're gonna grab the Days Gone By slow motion replay here. Oh, this.
My goodness! Oh no! I mean, even the fans knew in chat the big one was coming. We knew wheel spin was gonna be a factor. but jumping the start immediately was going to be the 14 here, trying to get to the outside of Jeff Green. Jeff Green trying to defend that position, and just a little bit of a bump. It was all that it took on the quarter panel, and away they go. Oh, man. What a start, though. By Weeks, he just knew he got the run. Jeff Green didn't know where to go. He tried to clear him, and Matthew Weeks, with the damage that he just got, with no fast repair, he's going to come into pit road, and when he exits, he has an EOL that he has to serve. Matthew Weeks' championship run might have came to a close in that one moment.
So now, man, what a parking lot. There was a 5, 6, 7 trucks involved in that one. David Westergreen playing smart. He came to a very careful stop on the apron. Well done to Westergreen.
Yeah, the penalty that is being given is for lane change for Matthew Weeks, and that is the biggest issue there as we wait and see if this is going to be a green-white checkered under that of regulation, or if we're going to be going into overtime.
So drivers involved: Matthew Weeks, Mark Keeler, Dustin Dewar, Zishan Dura, David Westergreen, Mark Keeler, Michael Goodman, Kyle Walgreen, all involved in that one.
I mean, you got to feel bad for Dusty Dewar, who tried something different with two-tire stop, tried to do the same thing that we're seeing Vincent Isabella going for. It just didn't work out. And I touched on it. Alexander Van de Sant needed to be the leader when we go into green-white checkered scenarios. And we are there. Overtime. One attempt to figure out who's going to be our championship winner here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Alexander Van de Sant going to be up front. Isabella in third with two fresh tires. Then in fourth place is Hank Steinmiller. And where did Weeks go? Oh yeah, he got the EOL from the wreck all the way back in last place.
I'm still at loss for words here. I thought once Van de Sant stayed out, that was kind of it. We're going to get a little bit of a run, and Van de Sant would get kind of enveloped here. But, I mean, now he's in a good spot. Isabella's in a good spot with two tires, and Steinmiller is in a fantastic spot, currently fourth or fifth place on the restart. He's got 4 fresh tires on that thing, so, oh boy.
With fresh tires for that of Hank Steinmiller, as long as this race goes green to the end, the outside line is going to work for the 63. And Van de Sant, he's going to stay low. That's where he's been all race long. He's going to defend the inside lane. I wonder how much those two tires are really going to help Isabella, that had probably the worst tire conservation of our top 4 championship drivers. Those tires have to be absolutely throttled at this point. I don't see how the 42 really has a shot here. He's got to defend the driver to his outside that's got 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, Isabella's in a rough spot. Van de Sant's in a really rough spot. Steinmiller's kind of the guy to watch here, I think, as he's got the best chance under green to bring it up front. I don't know what's going to happen. After seeing Van de Sant stay out in that big crash, all bets are out the window. It's anybody's guess.
Well, Matthew Weeks is kind of out of this thing. He has parked it. He's getting repairs done. He's back in 18th position. It was a great season for that 14 machine. Had 2 wins, 7 top 5, 7 top 10s, 2 pole positions. He won the initial playoff race at Dover. But for Matthew Weeks, his championship run has come to a close. Up front, though, Alexander Van de Sant. Only win that he's gotten this season was at Sonoma road course racing. But then after that, he's shown pace, but hasn't had the winning pace for himself. Vincent Isabella hasn't won this season, but has been up in the top 5 almost every race, it seems like. Maybe not win there, but certainly has the pace for a top 5 car. Hank Steinmiller, last time this driver won was at Daytona to start the season off, and since then, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 1 pole position. It's looking like as long as we stay green, this is Hank Steinmiller's race in a nutshell. He's got the tires to make the outside line work, but if this thing goes yellow immediately, Alexander Van de Sant pulled the heist of a century. Pace car pulls off. It's time to see who's going to win here. Championship week starts off with a bang as we're our green. Alexander Van de Sant, Tyler Fode, they get a great launch for themselves. It's Hank Steinmiller who did not get a good launch. He's battling currently for 4th place.
Now Steinmiller wants to see right now. Those cars around him have fresh tires as well. Isabella's on the outside, pushing it hard. Here comes Steinmiller on the inside. Isabella drops low. Can he get below Bodie?
Not able to do so. Vincent Isabella on the inside. 2-tire strategy for 3-1 for the championship as they're going down the backstretch. This is it. White flags in the air. Hank Steinmiller to the inside. He's pressuring. He's going to get the run. Hank Steinmiller. He's going to spin out. It's Vincent Isabella. Isabella gets it done with 2 tires.
No.
What? Oh, boy.
Well done, Isabella.
Oh boy, 2 tires. It worked out. It got on the throttle a little bit too soon. Was the 63. He smelled the victory in hand, and it all goes away in about 200 yards from the finish line.
I can't believe it. Isabella brings home a championship with 2 tires. I've never seen such a thing.
He had the worst. Isabella, I mean, you can't even be mad at this statement. He was the worst at saving his tires. He had the worst tires out there and went with a 2-tire strategy that worked out.
Isabella,
how in the world?
Who's never won a race all season, brings home the championship on consistency and a little bit of luck.
Oh my Lord. What a night it was for Lake Norman, who they had Steinmiller with the fresh tires, trying to make the inside line work. Didn't work out. He found himself spinning around. Oh no.
God, for Isabella with a well-deserved victory burnout there.
He hasn't won all season long, and sometimes you don't need a win to get a championship. 0 wins with tonight. 4 top 5s. 8 top 10s, no pole positions. Vincent Isabella is your championship winner here for the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Holy moly, here it is coming around, and it just like Steinmiller, Personette get involved, they all start flipping and wrecking, nowhere to go, and that's the way this race comes to a close. I mean, holy moly.
What a night. I'm gonna watch that once more. It's still.
It just. You gotta be thinking, if Van de Sant just took 4, like, even if he took 4 tires, he still would have been in 2nd or 3rd place when going green again before we had the overtime scenario. And
whoops, wrong button.
Man, oh man.
Let's get the blimp cam here because it's gonna be.
Just the chaos trying to sneak by. Jordan Owens gets clipped. He's sliding. He's drifting. He's gonna T-bone the 18. Still sliding and drifting. And Ryan even comes up with the 3rd place finish. A driver that stage 2 came to a close. Right? They came into pit road, and the driver that could not get out of his pit box cleanly, Trey Helms, was completely perpendicular and was blocking pit road, and he comes away with a top 5 finish for the 88. Great recovery for himself. Also for the 51, Harrison Talon, he finds himself in 5th place as well. I mean, what a wild race and finale this was.
What do you do here besides just clap and can't believe some of these drivers survived the wildest pit strategies I think I've ever seen, where guys just kind of throw something out the wall and see what sticks. And just ARCA brakes in full effect. As you see Alec Balvin's lift for a second to get right back in the throttle across the finish line as everyone goes spinning and sliding around him.
Oh my goodness. What a season this was. Came to a green-white checkered scenario, and luckily we got to race it to the end. They were 3 wide down the backstretch. You thought that it was going to be all Hank Steinmiller's, but a wreck coming out of turn 4 gave the championship to Vincent Isabella. Here's your final results here at Iowa, and we know for sure admins are going to have a fun time rewatching this one, but we know who won it. It was Tyler Fody in the 40 machine, with Vincent Isabella, his teammate, following behind with Ryan Barbary in 3rd. Trey Helms in 4th place with Harrison Talon, Alexander Van de Sant, Jordan Owens, Joshua Personette, Hank Steinmiller, who thought was going to get the win, was for the championship coming out of turn 4, wasn't there for the 63, 9th place for himself, and Mark Keeler going to be able to get that of 10th place. Over to you, James.
I'm at a loss for words. I'm so impressed, shocked, stupefied. All of these words come into effect. I mean, for a race to end like this and decide a championship, I think everybody at home just had just as much fun as we did watching this thing. At no point did I think we have any idea what was going to happen, especially once those tire strategies came out and then carnage decided the whole championship.
I mean, absolutely. And I know some of the audience is wanting us to look back. I mean, honestly, that whole entire white flag, incredible to rewatch as it was madness for a lot of those guys. But we're going to be bringing in our race winner for this one. So we're going to talk to our race winner and our championship winner who finished 1 and 2. But first, we're going to bring up into the booth as I can find the booth as man. We're going to talk to Tyler Fody that got to see all that madness in his mirror. Tyler, it's Sam up the booth with James. You got us?
Yeah, man.
Well, you were certainly having a wild race up front. You were racing with Alexander Van de Sant for all of the race. And then it comes down to a green-white checkered scenario, drivers on different tire strategies. And then you got to see Calamity behind you coming out of turn 4. Give us a breakdown of that green-white checkered.
That was nuts. He had Vandy on no tires. Vince was on 2, and then the rest of us on 4. It was really tough for me, though, because I was like, I mean, I want to go out and win it, but all these guys are racing for everything, and I didn't want to, like, get involved or too bad or run into them or anything. But, no, I knew I just had to be patient there through the first corner, and I'd have the drive off and got that, was able to drive underneath Van de Sant, and man, I mean, from the mirror it looked like they had a heck of a finish after that.
I mean, what a spectacular race. It looked like your tire strategy stayed great all night long. Was there anything you did in particular to kind of keep it above Van de Sant as that run developed, or were you just happy running where you were and try not to bump any championships as the night went on?
Yeah, I mean, the first half, firstly, Van de Sant had the championship pace tonight. I mean, huge shout out to him. I was trying everything the first half of the race. That first run saving and then trying to get to him, and the second stage just throwing everything at it. And I mean, track position was so key and so hard to pass. He did everything right. I just got him on the pit stop there. And then that whole last stage, I was just trying to conserve, only give him the bottom because I knew I could beat him with the drive off. So that was really the strategy there.
I mean, Tyler, during that last stage, you were up front and holding back Alexander, but you also had 2 teammates behind you. Was your goal just to be up front and force the 97 to use up those tires before that yellow came out?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to set the pace there. I mean, Van de Sant definitely wasn't making it easy. He was putting the pressure on. We were all driving as hard as we could. I mean, as far as the teammates, they drove a heck of a race to try and be there in the end. Just green-white checkered finish. So it's all up in the air at that point.
Absolutely was. I mean, what a way to finish out this season as we're watching the calamity of that final lap. Tyler, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Got to shout out to my teammate there, Hank, for giving it his all season long. Even tonight, qualifying bad, driving all the way up to where he was, put himself in a position to win that. Got to shout out you guys for coming on here, putting on the broadcast. I'm sure it'll be a fun one to watch back. I got to thank my sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing and Dayz Gone By, for running with me all season in our other series. And yeah, we're going to come back next season and try and go win the ship.
Absolutely. You're always fast out there, Tyler, and good luck next season. And we do have 3rd place coming up in our waiting room, so we'll bring in Ryan up into the booth, but a great sneak away victory for him as well. Ryan, it's Sam and James up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys. How you doing?
Doing all right. Well, you got yourself in a green-white checkered situation. You saw a bunch of drivers in front of you, and then they all decided to wreck. Describe those last 2 laps from your point of view.
To be honest, pretty crazy. Yeah, I was trying to make sure not to get into anyone because I didn't want to cause a caution and mess up the championship. I saw those guys going 3 wide for it. So I was just trying to stay clean. And then once they started wrecking, I just kind of picked the spot. And at that point, you can't really lift. They're wrecking around you, coming to the line. So you just had to keep your foot in it. Luckily, I got lucky.
Well, Ryan, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I mean, do you think that crash was going to form up as you saw the run developed, or was it looking pretty clean and then next thing you know, carnage at the finish line?
To be honest, I'm actually impressed that we even made it that far. I was telling everyone in the chat, I'm like, we're not making it past turn one here, but I'm surprised everyone kept it clean. It was actually really good racing all the way to the end there. I think we only had one caution, so clean racing all around.
Absolutely was. Well, Ryan, I know that you're hoping for to be longer in the playoffs and maybe was hoping for a championship run, but still an amazing season for yourself. You showed a lot of pace at all the courses you were at. Can't wait to see what you've got next season. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to, thank Fody, the whole Lake Norman crew, Hank, D West, the guys that are racing tonight, Ryan Lust Designs. You guys obviously in the broadcast booth for taking the time to do this, bringing the energy every time you do the calls. Pretty much it. Just want to thank Elite for putting it on and giving us something to do on a Sunday night.
Well, Ryan, congratulations again on a podium finish and good luck next season.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Well, he was the underdog coming into this race. He certainly had a lot of work to do. And tonight, it wasn't sure if the strategy call was going to work out, but for the Elite Racing League Old Testament Firearms Series Championship week starting, winner of the championship, and what a way and what a styling way to get it done. Vincent Isabella, you are the championship winner of this series.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love the sound of that.
You went with a gutsy call there. Late caution, putting us with 5 laps to go. You went with the 2-tire strategy. What was going through your mind? I mean, yeah, you knew fresh tires were needed, and I'll be honest, I was stating it a lot that you were probably having the worst time trying to hold on to your tires and conserving your tires. What was making you feel like the gutsy call of going for 2?
Honestly, it was just the fact that I would have never even had a shot. I had some right front damage from tapping the wall. That was killing the right front, so I wasn't able to hold the speed on the long run. So I went with the 2 tires, freed it up, and just let her eat.
Now, Isabella, you were one of the underdogs for sure coming in tonight. The least amount of wins and poles compared to everybody else, but man, you pulled it off at the end. We've always said you're a good long-run driver, but tonight I think a little bit of gambling paid off. How are you feeling after taking 2 tires, after seeing Van de Sant only or skipping the pit lane, surrounded by a bunch of trucks that had 4 freshies on them?
Yeah, if he would have pit, I probably would have still taken 2, but he would have driven right by us. Him staying out kind of solidified the decision to take 2 and go for it because I knew I had nothing for Hank and Weeks.
I mean, Vincent, a very gutsy call on your part, and you got to feel all the calamity during that green and white checkered situation there. But what was going through your mind when you guys were 3 wide entering turn 3?
Don't turn enough to hit Hank because then we both lose the championship. We're pretty good friends off the track, so it was good there was great racing there. We all gave each other room, and I guess he just picked up the throttle a little too early off of 4 and lost it.
Well, Vincent, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Definitely Shane DiMantova and Shane DiMantova Designs. They're one of the sponsors. He's the co-owner of our team ID Racing. All the boys that help out and all the guys on our team. Know a lot of them couldn't make it tonight because of real world racing, but Drunk with Buds podcast. They're a sponsor on most of the cars, and little inside joke with Big Kitty. Obviously, I have a cat on my truck. We call him our crew chief. He passed away, so that's our buddy.
Well, certainly Big Kitty is proud of this one. You didn't need a win to get the championship done. It took a very gutsy call going for 2 tires, but for you, Vincent, you are the Elite Racing League Old Testament Firearms Truck Series Championship winner of the 2021 A season. Congratulations, and go have fun celebrating this one.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. The broadcast, I'm sure I saw the last lap. It was awesome. So I'll go watch it back.
That's Vincent Isabella, your winner of the championship for the trucks. James, it was a heck of a season for us. I know we finally started working together halfway through the season, but man, was it a blast to cover.
Oh, man, we got the A team together, that's for sure. But, I mean, I can't hand enough to these drivers the entire time. They make it interesting to broadcast and to call out without making it a caution-filled just mess. So major props to all of our drivers, especially Vincent and Isabella, for bringing home the championship. I am at a loss for words after some of the driving and stuff we saw tonight. It was entertaining from start to finish this year.
We saw exciting highs. We saw crippling lows here tonight. Race winner Tyler Fody, a non-playoff driver, but in second place when he was 3 wide, thought maybe his championship winning time was over going through 3 and 4. A wreck coming out of turn 4 gave the 42 the win of the championship for the trucks. It's Vincent Isabella, your 2021 Old Testament Firearms Truck Series champion. And what a way to start up championship week. James, it was a blast covering this series with you. I had so much fun, and I know for the 2021 B season, it's going to get even better. As cannot wait to see. Again, this is just the start of championship week. More coverage here on the Elite Racing Network. Got to tune in every night to watch to see what amazing racing action is on. And you never know, you might have just as an incredible ending as we did here tonight. James, once again, thanks for being in the booth with me.
Always a pleasure, Sam. We'll let you take it home, my friend.
Well, you got to see it. Championship Truck Series winner is Vincent Isabella. Race winner Tyler Fody. It's been a blast this season. Can't wait for the next season to come around. It's just around the bend in 2 months. We'll see you then. Have a great rest of your night. And again, congratulations to Vincent Isabella.